2001 was an amazing year for the PS2. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3, Grand Theft Auto 3, Metal Gear Solid 2, Devil May Cry, SSX Tricky, Final Fantasy X, Klonoa 2, Silent Hill 2, and of course, Naughty Dog's newest adventure, Jak and Daxter, The Precursor's Legacy. With Naughty Dog done with the Orange Marsupial and no longer under the contract of Universal Studios, and with Sony's pretty new toy out with the PlayStation 2, they decided to make the next platformer with Jak and Daxter. And this time they decided to push the new PS2 to its fullest, between the constant day and night cycles, and the fact that the entire game is open and there is no loading screens. You can run all over this place, and the only time you will see the game loading is if you use the quick travel warp gate to the game's separate hub worlds, or obviously if you die. Released in December of 2001, Jak and Daxter was an adventure platformer with light puzzles. The game was received very well, this particular entry being the highest rated in the franchise. I remember getting it as a Christmas gift and playing for hours on end. I have also since revisited this title multiple times in the 20 plus years since this game's release, but giving it a more critical eye for the review and try to set aside the nostalgia goggles. Another quick thing of note, while doing some research, the game had also had a flash build to help promote the game, and it's just a little over-the-top adventure game. You go around picking up collectibles and look at these heavily pixelated versions of the characters from the game. It's kind of nice to see that the fans were able to salvage something like this after Flash kicked the bucket a couple years back. Alright, time to get into it. For the sake of this review, I decided to play the PS4 port of the game. I used to have the PS2 version and PS3, but have since traded them both in a long time ago.
Oh ho ho ho! Playing some Jak and Daxter, huh?
Can't have anything to myself, huh?
We doing the whole back and forth?
Nah, fuck it. Let's keep it easy for Jamie's sake.
Wait, Elena's not editing this?
No, man. Jamie's been here for a hot minute. Where you been?
Have you not heard of the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV with an expanded free trial which you can play through the entirety of A Realm Reborn?
I really need to get back into that. Anyways, here's Jak and Daxter and the Precursor's Legacy.
For free with just going in dry like that, huh?
You motherfucker!
The game begins with Old Man Samos narrating about the old precursors, which is something that will carry to the end of the trilogy.
Well, there's the racing game, the spin-off, the fourth game,
the trilogy, and the mute hero Jak and his bumbling goof friend Daxter.
The two were instructed never to go to Misty Island by the sage Samos, so naturally they steal a boat and head over there. They stumble across a horde of this game's mook, the Lurkers, and they're being instructed by two shadowy figures to gather any precursor artifacts and that they attack anyone who leaves the village, giving motive as to why we are being attacked by these enemies.
The two slink off and stumble across a vat of dark eco. As Daxter rambles about the game's collectibles, a Lurker jumps in and goes to attack the two. But Jak's quick thinking throws one of the artifacts that explodes and sends Jak flying right into Daxter, making him fall into the dark eco.
Daxter, after a bit, gets spit out of the dark eco and has now been changed into a short creature known as an ottsel, combination of an otter and a weasel, which, fun fact, was one of the animal options when they were creating Crash Bandicoot. Daxter, not too happy about being small and hairy, tries to calm down about his drastic change before realizing that he doesn't have a dick.
Pants! He doesn't have pants.
That too.
The two head to see Samos, but before the two can get a word edgewise, Samos berates the two for going against his advice, and then even if he wanted to help Daxter, he would not be able to, and that they would have to seek out Gull the Sage. However, him and the rest of the Technicolor sages have turned off their portals, so the two would have to get there on foot, far to the north. And with that, the duel is off to help Daxter turn back to normal, as well as collect enough power cells to unlock each of the hub worlds that are currently blocked off. You can get the power cells from either whatever is laying around, or by doing a request for the people that need the two's help.
So that's the main story, and the story is there more to bridge the gaps as you make your way through platforming challenges, as well as collecting the different MacGuffins, like the precursor orbs, the game's currency that can be used to buy power cells from people or to get through an area, but will also give a power cell anyways. There's also these scout flies that Kira sends out to help find them, but were captured by the Lurkers, and if you free all the ones in a given level, you'll be rewarded with a power cell, which the game has 101 power cells in the overall game. You only need 72 to beat the game, and 100 is needed to get the game's secret ending. The precursor orbs add a total of 2,000, but only 1,530 are used in the game, making collecting all of them needed for 100% completion, which I think makes this game on the same level of accessibility like Mario 64. You can tackle whatever challenges you want, and if you have trouble with some of the game's annoying ones, you can skip a decent amount of them. Granted, I played this game multiple times in my life, and I've gotten pretty good at sweeping the game's collectibles upon the first visit, and if you do all the levels in the first two hub worlds, you can outright head to the game's final area and fight the boss. So I don't really know if any of the game has any annoying scenarios. Andre? Anything you would think of?
I can name a few.
Yeah, Jak is very versatile. While he does have a double jump, it's not like you can cancel the momentum you have and go somewhere else. It's more used to give you a bit more airtime. And if you need more, you can go into a spin kick move that allows him to stay in the air just a bit longer. That I'm sure Naughty Dog pulled from the last game. Jak also has a high jump move coming from a crouch that allows him to grab onto ledges or poles, which when grabbing the poles, he will spin around them like an acrobat.
The best is his rolling move. While not like Sonic or how Mario would later copy this in Odyssey, it's more of a rolling jump that launches him back into a long jump. But being in the roll, it can be used to hit enemies, as well as also nice to get around way more quickly than Jak's normal walking speed. But if you aren't careful with it, you can send yourself right into a bottomless pit.
Luckily, the game does away with lives and just has a checkpoint system, and you won't be ever sent too far back from where you last died, since Jak can only get hit 3 times before dying. 4 if he's collected the green eco that the enemies and boxes will drop. 50 of them equals an extra hit, but if you pick up a big green eco, you'll gain an immediate extra hit point.
Speaking of the eco, the game has quite a few different flavors. Green for health, blue will make Jak run faster and for a short period of time equal to the gauge in the corner of the screen, will also act as an electric shield in Sonic and will pull MacGuffins into Jak without him having to walk directly over them. The red eco just makes Jak slightly stronger and is needed to kill more handful of enemies that can be beaten otherwise, and I think makes Jak's attack have a little bit more range to them, like an extending hitbox for damage, which, if I'm honest, seems kinda useless to me. Finally, there's a yellow eco, which allows Jak to shoot bolts of energy from his hand, like Key Blasts, and break open these silver boxes, or hit enemies from far. The dark eco is just... they do some serious damage to Jak and can result in death if you aren't careful.
Now what does Daxter do? Well, in this, he talks. Yeah, that's it. Jak is a mute, so Daxter does all the talking in this game for Jak for the cutscene, or yells at Jak to do something or not get hurt. And by this, he's yelling at the player. And if you die, you get one of these different clips of him making fun of Jak, but looking directly at the camera, making fun of you.
I'll say something really teary at the funeral, like, "Oh, I gotta get changed back now!" Step 1, stay alive. Step 2, think about not doing something like that again! While you're down there, could you rub my feet?
Yeah, I can see how some may find him rather annoying if you don't find his comments endearing, but I love the little guy. His clips are the highlight of the game. Daxter relayed my feelings perfectly as he stuffed that little muse into Jak's backpack. There was nothing more great than running in a circle trying to catch this little bugger, even if it's partially due to my own ignorance as a child. During the section not utilizing the role as effectively as I could have been. As an adult, I could do it fine, no problem, but my point still stands. Thank you, Daxter.
Well, I mean, the whole point we're on this quest is to help him back to normal, so we gotta help change him back, so I can understand why he's a bit snarky and a bit of an ass.
I mean, wouldn't you be if you were suddenly small, hairy, and didn't have a pair of pants? We are coming up to the end game, so spoilers, I guess. After a bit, making it through a few levels, find that both the blue and red sage are missing, and when you come across the red sage's hut, you see the same shadowy figure as before from the beginning of the game, with Samus commenting that he is in fact Gal, and that the Dark Eagle twisted him and his sister Maya.
Daxter immediately losing his shit, realizing that the person that can change him back is the big bad boss that they've had to defeat to save the world, realizing that he is indeed screwed. With the two getting enough to make it to the Yellow Sage's hut, they find out from Kira that Samus was kidnapped and that Gull and Maya are about to open the vaults of Dark Eco and plunge the world into it, turning everyone like them. Jak and Daxter make it to the burned remains of the Yellow Sage's hut and go to the doors of Gull and Maya's citadel, where all the sages have been kept and used to power up this ancient precursor robot. Jak frees the sages and then opens up the barrier that keeps the robot together, but Gull and Maya activate the robot and go to open the vats. Jak and Daxter go to take them on in one final showdown, but then with their powers combined of red, yellow, blue, and green makes light eco. Daxter realizing that it might be able to change it back, or be enough to take down the robot. Deciding that his life isn't above the world, he begrudgingly lets Jak use it to take down the robot and stop Gull and Maya as they get locked in the pool of Dark Eco.
The two heroes head back to the other sages and Kira as they do their victory dance and comment on how the two saved the world, while Kira mentions how are they going to change Daxter back, while Daxter comments,
"Don't worry about me, baby. You know what they say. Big things come in small packages."
That's a dick joke. That's a dick joke, isn't it?
Probably. Samus comments that Gull and Maya are probably gone that the Dark Eco vaporized them, which yeah, no amount of foreshadowing is ever going to bring them back. They all turn their attention to a giant door of 100 missing power cell slots, and when they return with, or if you already have them by the time you fight the final boss, they then use all the power cells to open the door as they look on in awe, leaving it on a cliffhanger, which, ballsy move on their part, ending Jak and Daxter and the Precursor legacy.
A nice little adventure. The story is more of a driving force than an engaging narrative, but nothing wrong with that, especially for this kind of game. And it's been one that I've enjoyed since I was a kid, and have beaten to 100% more times than I can remember. It has the same level of freedom I think Mario 64 has, where you can just run around and do the challenges you want to do, and have enough wiggle room to get to the end game and extra challenges for those that want to get the 100%.
Yeah, and the game doesn't do much outside of just normal platforming. There is a handful of minigame segments, like catching the fish, racing a zoomer against the clock, or the dreaded shooting segment in the swamp.
Yeah, like there really isn't a whole lot, is there? There sure is like a few segments where you have to ride the zoomer and an entire level dedicated to riding it, and like 2 times I think that you have to use the flat-bird, but they're both used for like platforming more than what Jak can naturally do, and is a nice pace breaker. Controls are pretty tight. Voice acting isn't bad enough that I found annoying, and the music is more atmospheric than anything else. Nothing stuck out so much. It's more bongos and didgeridoos. The only thing that comes to mind is the first area being a rendition of the game's main theme in the Spider Caves. But solid adventure for Naughty Dog's first solo outing. Anything else you'd bring up, Andre?
For me, when I first played this, seemed like an open world Crash game with the spin attack and breaking boxes. When I did play this though, I didn't have a memory card, so I had to speedrun it in one go, but never making it to the final boss, what with being a kid and all, and having school the next day. Later on, when I finally got a memory card after a month or so, I finally beat the game and 100% in everything. As I got older, when I wasn't doing a 100% playthrough, I usually skipped the swamp. There's something fun about that entire section. My favorite, of course, being the underground precursor level. It gave me some Sonic vibes. Never understood why, though. Oh wait, we didn't even mention the boss fights. The game only has 3 boss fights, which were nothing to write home about. Hell, the plant feels more like a mini-boss than anything else. And then there's the final boss being more of a dodge and response challenge. Personally, I like the big lug in the volcano. Something about him always stuck out to me. The game is more just baby's first collectathon, nothing too challenging, and the game has a lot of charm.
The only other thing I guess else is to bring up is the fact that on the PS4 version, more with the other games after this one, people were experiencing issues, but nothing I ever really noticed too much. It's been too long since I played the PS3 version, which from what I'm reading is just a pretty version of the PS2 game, and the PS2 version is still an amazing time in general. Honestly, the only thing I noticed was that there was a way to turn on subtitles in the first game.
No, that's only in 2 and 3.
Wait, seriously? I could have sworn there was a... alright, never mind. The UI, I think, makes me think there was, considering that the game uses the same parts. But yeah, if you want this game, it's not too expensive and can be purchased on the PlayStation Store relatively cheaply. Definitely recommend to anyone that hasn't played it yet that likes these kinds of collectible games. So Andre, will I see you for the next one?
Nah, I enjoy the other series, but I'm more geared towards the first than the other 2. I'll be back for Sonic or Rayman 2. Let me know about that.
What about Rayman 1?
Yep, so Sonic or Rayman 2.
Well, before we hop back into Slide, the other giant platform on the PS2 I wanted to look at was that wrench-wielding Lombax and his little robot friend, himself, Ratchet and Clank. The original one, not the PS4 movie reboot. But hey, you made it to the end, so maybe you liked the video, or if not, tell me in the comments section below, and go ahead and make sure you tap that subscribe button and smack that bell to know when the next video is out. Make sure to check me out on the Bluebird, the Purple Box, and Nostalgia Cam if you want to see more of my art, as well as whatever updates and gameplays I'll be giving in between reviews. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys again real soon.